Hello everyone, I'm Gloria and thank you so much for joining us on She Talks Life and Faith. So today I want to talk about a subject that I think can be beneficial to a lot of people in the workplace and in just different areas of your life, and that's the topic about leadership. So leadership, I think, can be something that anyone can kind of benefit from it, and so we're going to talk a little bit about it. What is your take on leadership?
My take on leadership is that it is something that's extremely, like if we're talking from a business standpoint, Gloria, I think it's something that's extremely important to make a business excel. You can see many types of different leadership styles, but just from my experience, and I'm just speaking on my experience of working with a team of insurance agents all across Texas, and working with other people, as my peers and upper leadership. Leadership to me is putting others above yourself.
Okay.
Creating an environment where people can feel comfortable reaching out if they ever have a question, and setting up your team for success. And there's many ways you can do that when we talk about leadership. One, who are the people that you're working with? One thing that a lot of times some people may not do is just get to know who you're working with. What is it that what motivates them? What is it that what are their goals? What are their dreams that they're trying to reach?
Yes,
So,
and I think it's also good. Well, to give a little background, you're a manager for a company, and leadership is very vital in your role. But I think, to bring it more to everyday folks, even I would say even in school, if you are coaching a soccer league, even as a parent, you're a leader. And I think in different areas, not just at work, but obviously work is very beneficial if you're in a leadership role. But I think you can also bring that into even a more personal level. Like if you're a coach for a team, you're a leader. You're going to be leading a team. So that's also something really important that you're doing.
Yes, agreed. You can definitely apply it to any role.
Yes.
You mentioned about like sports. I was listening to a book by a coach. His name, very famous coach in the past. His name was John Wooden. And so he actually tied faith to his leadership style, and he was one of the greatest college basketball coaches in the past, and very inspirational person. Worked with a lot of famous basketball players, and a lot of times you see these similar qualities in people. Another thing that comes to mind is just knowing, like finding something that you're passionate about and just really giving it your all. Because like in my field, for example, you mentioned, I work in insurance, and before I can get into a leadership role, I really had to become like an expert in my field. And the reason that helps is because it allows me to better know how to serve the people that I work with, and how to motivate them and how to teach them and how to train them. Yes. That's a really big thing about leadership, is teaching others what you know as an expert, and making it in a simple way that others can also follow.
Yes, and I think also a really important quality about leadership, in my opinion, is leading by example.
Yes.
I know that in the past I've had a few leadership roles, and I had to lead a team of women, and it was a group of women. I had to lead them in a work environment, and I had to lead by example. For example, we had to be there at a certain time. Make sure I showed up. If I was supposed to show up at a certain time, I don't want to show up late, because that's not going to be a good leadership. I have to lead by example. For me, that's what in the past, an area where I think leading by example is pretty important if you're in a leadership role. What are your thoughts on that?
Agreed 100%. You motivate others by being that example. And when people see that you're successful at what you do, and also that you care for their well-being and their success, they're going to follow you. they're going to follow you, because to lead somebody is to motivate, to influence, and to transfer that influence over to people, to say, you know what, we believe in what that person is saying. You got to lead by example, and you got to be a person of good character.
Yes. And I also think that being a leader, with being a leader comes responsibility.
Yes.
You take on more responsibilities. Like if you're a coach of a team, or in school, like the people, the higher ups, the principal, the superintendent, all these people, teachers, even teachers. If you're, it's just so. I think it can apply to a lot of areas in life. Parents, family. I mean, you're the leader.
Yeah.
Like the leaders, the parents together, they're leaders. And so I think it's something that you can apply it for a lot of areas. Like I said, coaching, you're leading a team.
Yeah.
You're leading, whether a soccer team, a basketball team, whatever, you're leading them. And so with that comes great responsibility. So leadership, although it can be good, it also is, it is good, but you have to make sure you're responsible.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a big responsibility.
Yes.
And then another thing, and that's a great point, to continue to add to this, because there's so many factors to being a great leader, but being self-aware is such an important thing. A lot of times being able to say, you know what, could I have done that better?
Yes.
Is there, am I 100, like you may not always be right. And being a great leader is knowing that sometimes you may not always be right in something, and it's okay. That's okay. You want to surround yourself with really smart people.
Yes.
You're not always going to have the answer. You might have somebody on your team that knows better than you in a certain situation. You're going to be okay with them giving you that and helping you in that situation.
Yes. And I think, and I don't know what your take is on this, but this is my opinion. I think also, for me, a sign of being a good leader is that sometimes you are going to take maybe some advice from your peers or the other people on your team. Maybe, like, for example, maybe in a basketball team or a soccer team or a football team, or in the workplace, maybe somebody has a better idea, but you might, this is my opinion, when I've been in roles of leadership and somebody suggests, hey, maybe what about if we did the things a certain way? What do you think? And I think it's being open to suggestions, being
100%.
open to the ideas of others, and encouraging others in the group, in the team.
It's kind of like saying humility, like a person of humility that has humility is saying, you know what, I have this title and I have this responsibility, but I'm not always going to be the smartest person in the room, and that's okay. And it's okay to show that vulnerability, to say, you know what, this person here has some great ideas, and maybe we should incorporate that. I like that idea. Let's put it, and then giving credit when it's due. So, like, if a person comes in with a great idea and we implement that, hey, you know what, I appreciate that. Or, sometimes it's an incentive, sometimes it's something, but giving that recognition.
Yes.
Because people love recognition. I don't think anybody that doesn't love recognition, but recognizing people when they do something good and saying, you know what, you did a really good job. Yeah,
and I think sometimes we might have other people in our team that maybe they have more experience in a certain area, and just because you're the leader doesn't mean you're going to dismiss and ignore that maybe they have been doing something for a longer time, or maybe even they could be younger, but they just have more. They have innovative ideas that maybe we need to incorporate. And I think a good sign of being a leader is kind of putting everything together and adding a little bit of managing the team well, managing it well. Because I think if you're a leader who only my ideas will work, at least for me, that's what worked, and I think it went well. But that's my take. I mean, maybe that's what I got. I don't know how you are with your team, but I think that's
basically what you're saying is what you call a growth mindset. It's saying, you know what, I'm going to keep improving. There's
can't stay
not a
stagnant,
point where I'd say, you know what, I'm the best at this and I'm not going to get any better. That's called a fixed mindset. So you always got to have a growth mindset to say, you know what, how can we make this better? How can I make the team better? What can we do to challenge the team a little more?
Yeah, well, that's what a team is, is 2 or 3 more people getting together.
Yep.
Just kind of incorporating all the ideas and then coming up with a better idea, improving maybe one idea, and then just going along and making it better. So for me, I think definitely that would be a good thing about being a good leader, is to always be open to suggestions and
Yeah.
keeping that openness to people, just suggesting things and making the company, the teams, whatever it is, leadership role that you have, making it better.
And you know what? And that's such a great point too, Gloria, because when I think of leadership, it's like nobody is just born a great leader, right? Like I think of my journey in the roles that I've had where I've been given this extra responsibility, and you see the growth. You should see the growth over time, but nobody just starts off and like that person's an amazing leader. Like no, it takes time, and it's going to take some trial and error because nobody's perfect. And you going in with that mindset to say, you know what, I know I'm not perfect, but I want to get to that level of, and the way you do that is just by, again, knowing the people you work with, reading books, listening to books, going to seminars.
Growing a personal connection with your team.
Faith is a big
growing
thing.
Bonding, growing personal connections and just kind of getting to know them. And today we just kind of wanted to focus a bit on leadership, and we really appreciate you being here on the show,
Thank
Omar,
you.
and giving your insight as a leader in your company and with your team. And hopefully you were able to get something from this. And thank you so much for joining us.